Did you know that Squarespace are offering a free trial and 10% off your first purchase if you use our discount code, squarespace.com/TrekCulture? What are you waiting for?
To anyone watching, particularly those who have worked in any production or in film or stage or television, you will understand the importance of keeping costs down. Why blow a ton of money on the backgrounds when it's the writing and the acting that should be taking centre stage, correct? Well, sometimes it really is worth dropping a few extra euros. Wait, did Sean write this? Sometimes it really is worth dropping a few extra pennies on the surrounding actors so that, frankly, they don't stand out so much. And let's spare a thought for the production teams behind these examples. There is, to be fair, a lot of very savvy examples of how they cleverly reuse bits, and then there's one where they just kind of plonk it in a different direction. But I can't judge though. I've been using this same green screen since 2018. I'm Marcus Bronzy, this is TrekCulture, and this is 10 times they reuse sets in Star Trek and hope you would not notice. Number 10, 10 forward / the President's office. The cheek, the gall, the gumption, the audacity to think us, the audience, would not notice. I mean, they even left the diagonal panelling on the walls. But anyway, to be fair, we bloody love it here at the TrekCulture Towers because 10 forward is one of our favourite spots. I mean, it was introduced in the Next Generation second season, serving as the base for the lovely Guinan. This was Roddenberry's answer to an Old West saloon, although far less piano playing and more synth-a-hole, which would also serve as a function room when the situation called for it. I mean, I think we all remember Riker hitting that trombone a few times in there. It was a large standing set, so it made sense to try and get as much use out of it as possible. Therefore, when The Undiscovered Country, oh yeah, you'll see that film on this list again, went into production, 10 forward was quickly adopted by the theatrical production. The space setting was swapped out for Paris, and the bright sunshine flowed onto the President's table. In the scenes featuring the discussion of Kirk and McCoy's arrest, this was the setting of the large office, which Starfleet and Federation representatives gather to watch the show trial. It's also where we catch an early glimpse of the beloved Renee Auberjonois, depending on which version of the film you're watching. Number 9, La Sirena / the Shrike. Star Trek Picard's third season served as a bit of a soft reboot to the series, one which had been largely fractured as it was. The first and second season saw much of the starship action aboard La Sirena, which was Cristobal Rios' unregistered freighter. La Sirena would appear, albeit briefly, in the third season, now under the command of Raffi Musica. The entire cargo section of La Sirena appeared several more times throughout the series. Captain Vodic obviously had a thing for Rios and Musica's ship. She borrowed the cargo section to transform it into the bridge of her vessel, the Shrike. While the transformation is fairly extensive, there is some positivity to this. The third season of the show clears many of the characters from the first two seasons, but this inclusion of La Sirena could in a way be seen as retaining a little bit of Rios, even if the Shrike is desperately trying to kill our heroes. Number 8, St. Clair / Fairhaven. Star Trek Voyager's fourth season was enormous in terms of scope. It opened with the concluding part of Scorpion before barreling forward into the Year of Hell, which was quite literally a year of hell. Other episodes like Prey saw a large amount of digital work being realised, so the killing game may not have been met with the same enthusiasm granted to other scripts, but it was a big one. The Hirogen were going to take control of Voyager, forcing everyone into holographic death matches. The first part opens with Janeway taking on a Klingon dagger to the chest before suddenly appearing in a French village. This village of St. Clair was filmed on Universal Studios' European Street or Little Europe set, which actually offered the cast and crew a chance to get away from stage work and get to shoot on location. Roxanne Dawson and Jerry Ryan were both very glad for a change of scenery. When it came to Fairhaven, in the show's sixth season, the crew once again returned to Universal Studios. The sets were redressed, though the same physical buildings were used in both. As an Irishman writing this article, however, I knew it was Sean. Knew it was Sean. If I was an Irishman, however, the reuse of sets would be the least of Fairhaven's issues. Number 7, Enterprise E Shuttle / Runabout Cockpit. Our recent list on the secrets of the Runabout has covered the multiple times that this durable little ship has been used in Star Trek. It was reconstructed for Deep Space Nine, which needed additional support craft to allow the station's crew to actually trek through the stars. While the Runabout itself would appear in many episodes of the series, it would also pop up in both the Next Generation and Voyager, as well as an animated appearance in Lower Decks. Star Trek Insurrection was released between Deep Space Nine's 6th and 7th seasons. The Enterprise E shuttle, along with the captain's yacht and the mission scout ship, all saw materials carried over from the Runabout set. The shuttle is perhaps the most noticeable, as the layout is almost identical to the older ship. There's even a transporter directly behind the pilot and co-pilot seats, though the colouring is slightly different in the theatrical version.
Hi, I'm award-winning journalist and all-round truth seeker, L.E. Fontana. If you go to squarespace.com/TrekCulture, you can get a free trial and 10% off your first website purchase. Squarespace's Fluid Engine really is the TNG of website designers. Build from scratch or be inspired by professional templates. Save time and latinum with their integrated merchandise store. We're skipping impulse and jumping straight to warp. Seriously, who wrote this? Don't wait a year, do it yesterday. That's squarespace.com/TrekCulture for a free trial and 10% off your first website purchase. I'm L.E. Fontana. Stay safe out there, and remember, the truth will set you free.
Number 6, Enterprise D Engineering/Enterprise A Engineering. Look, sharing sets between ongoing productions just makes sense from both a financial standpoint but also an aesthetic one. Though the stories may be set in differing points of history, Star Trek has attempted to keep something of a uniform look between Federation starships. Star Trek IV, The Undiscovered Country, borrows rather heavily from The Next Generation. So much so that there are 3 separate entries from the film in this list here. Here, there is the fact that the main engineering set is borrowed wholesale from Enterprise D. Nicholas Meyer does use the space in a clever way though. Rather than filming the core itself as it would be seen in The Next Generation, he aims the camera from the core, looking down on Scotty and the rest of the team. Number 5, Voyager's SICKBAY/Enterprise E SICKBAY. When it came to introducing a new starship for the 4th live-action Star Trek series, Star Trek Voyager updated some of the designs on the interiors of the Starfleet vessel. The bridge and the engineering sets were revamped, modernised and made to look as futuristic as mid-90s would allow it. The sickbay set, complete with yellow glowing walls and a new biobed and an office for the chief medical officer, was constructed and proved to be so popular that the production team on Star Trek First Contact said, wait, we're going to be borrowing that for the Enterprise E. First Contact was in production between Voyager's 2nd and 3rd seasons, so the sets were just standing there, not making the production team any money, so they redressed them, repainted them, but they kept them structurally intact so that when the series began production again, they literally transformed them back. Robert Picardo makes a cameo in First Contact as the Enterprise's emergency medical hologram, so one would argue that the team borrowed everything from that stranded ship, including the holograms. Number 4, Enterprise Bridge/Valdore Bridge. Director Stuart Baird may have been named many things by Star Trek fans, but we must say this for the man. He knew how to get the most out of his props and sets. Star Trek Nemesis arrived in 2002 and Voyager had wrapped production, so this meant that sets like Sickbay were no longer available to borrow and thus they had to be built from scratch. Baird ordered the construction of a new bridge set for the Enterprise E. This differed from all previous iterations because it was built on gimbals that shook when needed, which mean the crew could realistically lurch upon weapons fire. I mean, up until this point, they simply would move themselves while the camera was shaken. With such an expensive set having been built, Baird wasn't about to waste a penny of it. He had it redesigned and redressed to serve as the bridge of the Romulan warbird VALDORE, in a very similar move to the Wrath of Khan. Other examples of hidden redressing were those freestanding consoles on the Riemann Bridge, nicked from the old Deep Space Nine lockers as they were Cardassian in design. Number 3, Observation Lounge/Dining Room. This is one of the more obvious set redresses on this list, although it is still not the only one to feature in The Next Generation and Undiscovered Country. With the series in full swing at the time of the 6th film's production, it made complete sense that there would be a lot of crossing over, which also sets the stage for the evolution of the Enterprise lineage. Though, of course, the Observation Lounge was constructed for The Next Generation, the redress and transformation to turn it into Enterprise A's dining room was a brilliant and very simple move. Where else would the party dine in such style on a starship? Surely the mess hall would be a bit cramped, and Kirk's headquarters were already depicted as being a far cry from the luxury of Captain Pike's stateroom. If there was one regretful part of that set share, it would be the destruction of that lovely dining room. I mean, the portraits adorning the walls, including the great SHRIKE himself, were obliterated by a torpedo from General Chang's bird of prey. But at least we were able to put the wall paneling back together again for Picard's next sit-down briefing. Number 2, Federation HQ/the courtroom. Once the USS Discovery warped into the future, Starfleet had to adapt to a new 32nd century setting. Therefore, once the ship arrives at Federation headquarters, the crew and the audience are treated to an astonishing sight. The ship could break into several smaller support craft to aid in evacuation, as was shown in Coming Home. The interior of the vessel was distinctly circular in structure, often comprising of rings around a central hollow space. The look was so distinctive, however, that when it shows up in Strange New Worlds, it is immediately recognizable. The courtroom at Starfleet headquarters in which Una's trial takes place is the redress of this set. Much like several other entries on this list, the general shape is what gives it away immediately, though perhaps the biggest clue is the large circular space in the middle of the room. This, having served as a stellar map in Discovery, is now only there to keep witness and prosecution as far away from the judges as possible. Despite its recognizable look, it was still fun to see where the USS Federation took its inspiration from. Number 1. Enterprise Bridge/Reliant Bridge. In a way, this is the ultimate example of hiding something in plain sight. Director Nicholas Meyer joined the Star Trek family with Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. The stakes were high. Admiral Kirk and the rest of the crew began to feel quite old, and from the depths of space, a madman sought revenge. However, this madman wasn't just mad. They were cost conscious. First, it would appear as the simulation room during the Kobayashi Maru test. Then it would appear as itself when Lieutenant Savick commanded it out of dry dock. Then, of course, it would serve as the Enterprise bridge for the rest of the film. The bridge also served as the main bridge of the USS Reliant, commanded by Khan Noonien Singh himself. As the hero and villain of the film famously never ever met face to face, this was a clever way to get around the recycling of the set. As an audience, we're paying far more attention to the performances being given rather than the deck plating underneath these actors' feet. Well played, team. Well played. So there you have it. 10 times Star Trek have reused sets and hoped you wouldn't notice. But we did. We noticed, didn't we? Huh? Any others you can think of? Chuck them in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like and subscribe. You can find us on Twitter at TrekCulture or on Instagram at TrekCultureYT. I am on all social medias at Marcus Bronzy, MarcusBronzy, and my award-winning podcast, How to Kill an Hour, is out there, and another one called Ain't Got a Clue is a great listen as well. Get those wherever you listen to your pods. Until next time, peace.